Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, and the show was boring tonight. Monday Night Raw was absolutely boring, but the wrestling, was good tonight here. But aside from that, just an overall boring show it was. So you had an NXT Women's Championship match. It was an open challenge. Becky Lynch is the new NXT Women's Champion. She defeated Tiffany Stratton last week on NXT. And the only reason why Becky Lynch is the NXT Women's Champion is because WWE wants to make Becky Lynch a Grand Slam champion. Because when Becky Lynch was down in NXT, in her time down there, she was never an NXT Women's Champion. Now, WWE was like, oh, well, let's just give Becky Lynch the NXT Women's Championship. Oh, let her defeat Tiffany Stratton because, why the hell not? But yeah, we had an open challenge for the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Becky Lynch defended the title. And she defended it against Natalya. Are you kidding me? We have Becky Lynch and Natalya, two superstars on the Raw roster. Becky Lynch is just holding the NXT Women's Championship, getting it hot, so Tiffany Stratton could win the title back, in my opinion. So I'm like, we got an open challenge. It should be on NXT, but it's on Monday Night Raw. And then next week, we're getting Dragon Lee versus Dominik Mysterio for the NXT North American Championship on Monday Night Raw. What the fuck are we doing here? Why did we get an NXT Women's Championship match tonight, and next week we're getting an NXT North American Championship match on Monday Night Raw? What are we doing? Might as well call it NXT Raw. And then we had Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio. We already seen this before. Kofi Kingston versus Ivar. We had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven took on Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler. We have Bronson Reed versus Chad Gable. We have Tommaso Ciampa versus Giovanni Vinci. And the main event, it was Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso. Overall, Monday Night Raw, just a boring show this was. Like I said, aside from the wrestling being good tonight, just 3 hours of the show was boring. Just 3 hours of Monday Night Raw really drains you. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw open up tonight with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes made his way down to the ring. He was dressed to compete. He stood in the ring. We had the fans going, whoa! We got that 3 times tonight. With everybody going, whoa! It's like sing-along time. So Cody stood in the ring. He smiled as the crowd started chanting his name. Cody held up the mic. He kept saying, "So, Salt Lake City, what do you want to talk about?" He kept saying that last week he was interrupted. So he would really like to talk about main event, Jey Uso. So then Cody got interrupted by Dominik Mysterio, the NXT North American Champion. So Dominik walked out to the stage, and of course, in the production truck, they were getting ready to turn up the volume of the piped-in boos, which every single week, when Dominik comes out, and we hear those piped-in boos, it just gets worse and worse. Every single week, we hear those piped-in boos, and the volume gets turned up to fucking 15, WWE is really loving these piped in boos for Dominik Mysterio that they gotta turn the volume all the way up, so they want us to think that everybody is booing in the arena for Dominik, when that is not the case. Some people boo him in the crowd, but if you heard those loud boos, those piped in loud boos, you would see everybody in the crowd booing Dominik. But no, we don't see that. We only see some people booing him. So Dominik ended up saying, once main event, Jey Uso joins the Judgment Day, they'll continue to be the most dominant faction in all of WWE. So then he started shouting at the crowd. He ended up going on to say that Mommy, Rhea Ripley, isn't here tonight because she was injured by Nia Jax last week. And he ended up saying that Mommy will be back soon and better than ever. So Rhea Ripley is selling the injury that was done to her by Nia Jax last week. So Dominik ended up saying after he beats Cody tonight, he'll dedicate his victory to Mommy, Rhea Ripley. So Dominik got into the ring. Cody ended up asking the crowd if they heard Dominik, and the crowd ended up chanting no. So Cody gave Dominik another chance to speak, but Dominik didn't talk. Cody then reiterated that Dominik is going to dedicate his victory to Mommy. He had to say maybe that's the thing that will do it, and that maybe it will impress Rhea Ripley enough that she'll finally define their relationship. Cody then ended up saying that it seems like Dominik is far more into her than she's into him. He ended up saying all this dedication to Mommy, what's the deal? He ended up saying that it also seems like Mommy has eyes for Jey Uso. So Dominik ended up saying to Cody, it's not like that at all. He ended up saying that the Judgment Day are all family. He ended up saying once Jey joins the Judgment Day, he'll know what it's like to have a family. A family always has each other's backs. So then the Judgment Day music ended up hitting, and out came Finn Balor and Damian Priest, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. So they made their way to the ring, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Overall, awful segment this was to open Monday Night Raw tonight. It's the same shit. Cody comes out there, what do you want to talk about? And then Dominik comes out there, piped in boos. It's like the same thing every single week. And then you have Balor and Priest coming out there. Rinse and repeat. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio. This was a quick match here. This went off for 7 minutes? So, the match ended up starting. Both Cody and Dominik ended up circling the ring. Dominik ended up shoving Cody. Cody ended up kicking Dominik in his midsection. He then uppercutted Dominik. Cody ended up pulling Dominik up for a delayed front suplex. And then Cody ended up locking Dominik in the figure four. Dominik quickly got to the ropes to break up the figure four. Cody ended up putting Dominik in the corner. He chopped away at Dominik's chest. Cody ended up whipping Dominik into the opposite corner. He ended up rolling up the turnbuckles, and he landed on the apron. So Cody ended up knocking Dominik back. Dominik ended up grabbing the ref to distract the ref. Finn Balor pulled Cody off the apron. Balor then left, and he fist bumped Damian Priest. Dominik ended up getting Cody in the ring, started stomping away at him in the corner. Dominik then started to do the Three Amigos, and Cody ended up countering before Dominik ended up hitting the third Three Amigos, and Cody ended up dropping Dominik with a Cody cutter. Cody followed up, he hit the crossroads on Dominik. He then stared at Balor and Priest as he ended up going for the cover on Dominik. So there you go. Cody Rhodes ended up winning the match. Post-match, Baszler, Priest, and Dominik stood on the apron, and they stared at Cody. Cody was alone in the ring. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn ended up running down, and the Judgment Day got off the apron, and they backed away, and they ended up leaving through the crowd. Cody then started to leave. He then started taking selfies with some of the fans. Kevin Owens got on the mic. He ended up telling the production crew to cut Cody's music. Kevin Owens ended up asking Cody to return to the ring because they have to talk. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. I'm like, first we had this match for 7 minutes, and then we have, Kevin Owens telling Cody to come into the ring, and then it goes to commercial. I'm like, what? So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Cody was in the ring with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens ended up saying that Jey Uso is back on Monday Night Raw because of Cody. Cody ended up saying that is correct. Owens ended up saying that he doesn't need to go into details about what Jey Uso did to a lot of people back in the locker room when he was part of the bloodline. So Cody ended up saying that he is well aware. And Kevin Owens ended up saying that all he wants is for Cody to tell him why he thought it was a good idea to bring Jey Uso into their locker room on Monday Night Raw. He ended up saying that a lot of people need to hear it. Kevin Owens ended up saying that he wants Cody to enlighten them. Cody ended up saying that a lot of people need to hear it. But there are a lot of people in the crowd who probably know why. Cody ended up saying that he has had a lot of roles, tasks, and duties, and his job is to make the people happy. So he ended up saying that he'll answer Owens' question. But he first ended up asking the crowd if they like Jey Uso, to which the crowd ended up cheering. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he is looking at someone who has received a lot of second chances. He ended up saying that Jey is one of the best in the world and deserves a second chance. He ended up saying that they should give him the chance to show that he's changed. He ended up saying not to mention the Bloodline, who they are all very familiar with, are now down a member. He was like, what's bad about that? Sami Zayn ended up saying that he doesn't want to pile on, but that Kevin Owens has always taken a bit more time to warm up to people. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he is the opposite, and maybe he trusts people too quickly. He ended up saying that he's been through a lot with Jey. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he doesn't have to give him a second chance. But Sami Zayn ended up saying that he thinks Kevin Owens should. Kevin Owens ended up saying that he has given him second chances and vice versa. He ended up saying because of that, they won the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. And that doesn't happen without a second chance. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he sees where this is going. He ended up saying that if Sami wants to pretend that Jey is a huge reason why he didn't win the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship at Elimination Chamber, he'll do that. He ended up saying that if Cody wants to pretend that Jey wasn't a big reason why he didn't leave WrestleMania as champion, he'll do that. He ended up saying that Jey cost him 5 title matches against Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens ended up saying that he will even pretend that Jey is not one shade of eyeliner removed from joining the Judgment Day. Owens ended up saying that he can't trust Jey, but trusts Cody and Sami Zayn. So he hopes they're right. So Kevin Owens ended up walking off, on Sami Zayn and Cody. And then we saw replays of, that were shown of Jey accidentally super kicking Kevin Owens last week, which cost them the match against the Judgment Day. So we saw that. But overall, this was, okay segment here. But, with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens coming out and, the Judgment Day end up backing away and they left through the crowd. Pretty much, this is going to lead to another probably 6-man tag on Monday Night Raw. Probably next week. So then we saw Michael Cole. Michael Cole ended up announcing that Raquel Rodriguez suffered whiplash at the hands of Nia Jax. And of course, Rhea Ripley is suffering from bruised ribs from the attack from Nia Jax. So that was what Michael Cole had to say. And then we had Kofi Kingston versus Ivar. And originally this was supposed to be a 2 out of 3 falls match with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston of the New Day versus the Viking Raiders, which didn't take place tonight. Because Michael Cole ended up announcing that Adam Pearce explained that the 2 out of 3 falls match couldn't happen. And Adam Pearce told the New Day that Eric was not medically cleared to compete. So Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston end up playing a round of rock, paper, scissors. And Kofi Kingston ended up winning the rock, paper, scissors. So he ended up facing Ivar. So then the match got underway. Of course, Ivar was accompanied by Valhalla. And this was a good match here. I really enjoyed this match. The wrestling here from Kofi and Ivar was great. And, if Ivar was to be a singles competitor, this proved, that he could be one from what we saw in this match here with Kofi. So Kofi ended up quickly going for a headlock takeover on Ivar, but Ivar didn't go down. Ivar knocked Kofi back, and he shoulder tackled Kofi. Ivar hit the ropes. Kofi ended up leapfrogging Ivar twice and knocked him back with a back elbow. Kofi ended up avalanching Ivar in the corner. He then charged again at Ivar, but Ivar ended up stopping Kofi with a seated senton out of the corner. Ivar ended up punching Kofi back, and he elbowed him in the corner. Ivar ended up whipping Kofi into the opposite corner. Kofi then started punching Ivar back. Ivar then ended up reversing a whip into the corner. Ivar then charged at Kofi, but Kofi ended up hitting a kick to Ivar. Kofi came off the top rope with a diving clothesline to Ivar. He then chopped at Ivar's chest. Kofi then ended up hitting a drop kick to Ivar. He ended up taking Ivar down with a leaping clothesline. Kofi ended up going for the boom drop, but Ivar moved out of the way. Ivar then knocked Kofi back, but Kofi ended up quickly dropping Ivar with a roundhouse kick to Ivar's skull, and Kofi ended up going for the cover, to which Ivar kicked out. Kofi ended up charging at Ivar, but Ivar ended up hitting a back body drop over the top rope to Kofi. Ivar came off the apron with a splash to the floor, which that had to hurt Kofi. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kofi was in control of the match. He started punching away at Ivar. Kofi hit the ropes, but Ivar ended up flattening Kofi with a sidewalk slam. And then he ended up hitting a low crossbody block. Ivar headed to the top rope. He dived off the top, but Kofi ended up rolling out of the way. Kofi headed to the second rope. He ended up splashing Ivar. Kofi ended up going for the cover, to which Ivar ended up kicking out. Ivar quickly ended up throwing Kofi into the corner, but he springboarded off the top rope with a crossbody block. And we had Kofi end up going for the cover. Ivar ended up kicking out. Ivar ended up getting to his feet, and he ended up booting Kofi Kingston down. Kofi ended up quickly retaliating with a SOS to Ivar, and Kofi ended up going for the cover, to which Ivar kicked out. Kofi ended up hitting the ropes. He ended up hitting a penalty kick, and then he ended up hitting the boot drop to Ivar. So Ivar ducked a Trouble in Paradise from Kofi. Kofi ended up avoiding a heel kick from Ivar. He went for the SOS. Ivar ended up fighting out. He ended up hitting a double underhook sit-out powerbomb to Kofi. So Ivar went for the cover, and Kofi ended up kicking out. Ivar then ended up pulling Kofi up. He ended up crushing Kofi with a spin kick. So Ivar went for the cover. Kofi kicked out. Kofi crawled to the corner, and he sat there. Ivar ended up annihilating Kofi with a Bronco Buster. Ivar headed to the second rope, but Valhalla ended up calling out to Ivar. Ivar climbed to the top rope, and he ended up hitting a moonsault to Kofi, which that moonsault looked good from Ivar. So Ivar ended up going for the cover, and Kofi kicked out of the moonsault, to which Valhalla was shocked that Kofi kicked out. So Ivar ended up putting Kofi on the top rope. He was setting up for a superplex, but Kofi ended up clubbing Ivar's back. Kofi then ended up hitting Ivar with a sunset flip powerbomb, and then Kofi took out Ivar with the Trouble in Paradise. Kofi ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Kofi Kingston ended up winning the match. Overall, very good match here from Kofi and Ivar. Just good wrestling from the both of them. And like I said, if Ivar was to be a singles competitor, this proved that he would be a good one. But very good match this was. So then we saw Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond was backstage with Ricochet, to which she ended up calling Ricochet the highlight of the night. So Jackie Redmond ended up asking Ricochet if he has any final comments before he faces Shinsuke Nakamura. Ricochet ended up saying that Nakamura is making a mistake by thinking that he's a mind game for Seth Rollins. He ended up saying that if Nakamura wants to play games, then he is a cheat code. So Ricochet ended up saying tonight, it's game over. So that was basically what Ricochet had to say. This match came into play because Nakamura ended up attacking Ricochet last week backstage. So then we had Shinsuke Nakamura. He made his way out to the ring. And then Seth Rollins made his way out. Adam Pearce ended up standing in Seth Rollins' way. We had security ended up holding Rollins back. So Rollins escaped the security. He charged to the ring. Nakamura casually got out of the ring. Rollins then chased Nakamura, but Nakamura evaded Rollins. Rollins was held back by security, and he was irate at that. So they didn't want Seth Rollins to get his hands on Nakamura. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. This was an okay match here. So they both end up locking up. Nakamura quickly back into the ropes, and the referee tried to separate Nakamura and Ricochet. Nakamura ended up dropping Ricochet with a kick to his face. Nakamura then ended up throwing Ricochet headfirst into the turnbuckle. Nakamura then set Ricochet up. He ended up hitting a stiff kick to Ricochet's chest. Nakamura then kicked Ricochet in his chest again. Ricochet blocked a third kick from Nakamura, ended up hitting a head scissors takeover, which was followed up by a drop kick to Nakamura. Ricochet ended up going for the cover, but Nakamura ended up grabbing the bottom rope. So Ricochet ended up stomping Nakamura in the corner, and he backed up. Ricochet ended up lifting Nakamura, but Nakamura slid off. Ricochet elbowed Nakamura, and he ended up hitting the ropes for a handspring maneuver, but Nakamura ended up hitting a sliding kick to Ricochet's head. Nakamura ended up laying Ricochet on the top rope. He ended up hitting a running knee to Ricochet's ribs, so Nakamura ended up going for the cover, to which Ricochet kicked out. Nakamura then ended up dropping the knee, and he ended up going for another cover, to which Ricochet ended up kicking out. Ricochet then ended up finding out with a suplex attempt from Nakamura, and Ricochet ended up elbowing him. Ricochet hit the ropes, but Nakamura ended up kneeing Ricochet in his ribs. He ended up kicking Ricochet in the chest. Nakamura ended up applying a abdominal stretch. Ricochet fought out, ended up kicking Nakamura down, and then Ricochet hit a standing moonsault onto Nakamura, to which Nakamura ended up kicking out. Nakamura fought back. He ended up chopping Ricochet in the corner. Nakamura then ended up putting his foot on Ricochet's throat, and he then whipped Ricochet into the corner. Nakamura ended up going for a sliding German suplex, but Ricochet avoided that. Ricochet took Nakamura out at ringside with a moonsault block, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Nakamura was in control of the match, and we had Nakamura end up charging at Ricochet, but Ricochet popped up with a Busaku knee kick to Nakamura. So Ricochet started punching away at Nakamura. Nakamura reversed the whip, but Ricochet ended up flooring Nakamura with a handspring back elbow. Ricochet hit a standing shooting star press onto Nakamura. He ended up going for the cover, to which Nakamura ended up kicking out. Nakamura then quickly laid Ricochet on the top rope, but Ricochet ended up avoiding a knee from Nakamura. Ricochet ended up kicking Nakamura in the head, and he ended up hitting a springboard crossbody block. He ended up going for the cover, to which Nakamura ended up kicking out. So we had Nakamura end up grabbing a steel chair. Ricochet ended up fighting away at Nakamura, and he ended up grabbing the chair. Ricochet grabbed the chair, and he hit Nakamura in the back with the chair, so the referee ended up calling for the bell. So Shinsuke Nakamura won the match by disqualification. So Ricochet was upset with the ref's decision. He got into the ring to say that Nakamura brought the chair in. Nakamura ended up chop blocking Ricochet's knees, and Nakamura hit the Kinshasa to the back of Ricochet's head. Nakamura then ended up dragging Ricochet into the corner. He grabbed the chair. Nakamura then smashed the chair on Ricochet's ankle against the ring post a few times. So then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins ended up running through the crowd, and he attacked Nakamura. Rollins ended up getting Nakamura in the ring. He was setting up for a pedigree. Nakamura countered with a back body drop to Rollins. Rollins ended up landing with his back on the chair. So both Nakamura and Rollins started brawling at ringside. Nakamura then ended up slamming Rollins on the commentary table. Security ended up pulling Nakamura to the back. And we just saw Nakamura end up grabbing a cardboard cutout of Seth Rollins' face. You know how the fans there, they end up bringing these big cardboard cutouts of superstars' faces. So Nakamura grabbed a cardboard cutout of Seth Rollins' face that was held up from a fan. He placed that cardboard cutout of Seth Rollins' face, in front of him, and Nakamura was just going like this, holding up that cardboard cutout of Seth Rollins' face, in front of him, and that was basically that, which, that is the thumbnail to this review. That was what Nakamura did with the Seth Rollins cardboard cutout, face. But overall, okay match it was between Nakamura and Ricochet. So then we had Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was backstage with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Chelsea Green ended up telling Byron Saxton that Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark are not a real team. She ended up saying what makes a great team is friendship. To which Piper Niven ended up telling Chelsea Green that they're not friends. She ended up asking Chelsea Green where she is from. Chelsea Green ended up thinking that Piper Niven is from Florida. So Byron Saxton ended up telling Chelsea Green that Piper Niven is from Scotland. So Chelsea Green ended up pretending like she knew that. And she ended up chasing after Piper Niven. So that was that. And then we had Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. This match, Yeah. Snooze of a match. Yeah, they seriously put Shayna Baszler in another tag team. So they paired her with Zoey Stark. And I'm like, you paired Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark together when they just fought in a match 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Huh? So the match started off with Zoey Stark and Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green ended up taking it to Zoey Stark, but Zoey Stark ended up taking Chelsea Green down, ended up hitting a springboard twist and senton, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Chelsea Green ended up kicking out. Shayna Baszler tagged in. She ended up taking Chelsea Green down. So Zoey Stark ended up tagging in. Chelsea Green ended up knocking Zoey Stark back. Piper Niven pulled Chelsea Green away from an attack from Zoey Stark. Chelsea Green came off the top rope with a missile drop kick to Zoey Stark. She ended up going for the cover, to which Zoey Stark ended up kicking out. Piper Niven then tagged in. She ended up hitting a shoulder breaker to Zoey Stark. She ended up going for the cover, to which Stark ended up kicking out. Chelsea Green then tagged back in. Zoey Stark ended up fighting Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green ended up kicking Zoey Stark in the face. She ended up hitting a step up enziguri. Chelsea Green then ended up hitting the ropes, but Zoey Stark ended up super kicking Chelsea Green. Piper Niven ended up breaking up the pin because Zoey Stark went for the cover on Chelsea Green. Baszler ended up kneeing Niven in the face. She ended up brawling with Piper Niven at ringside. Piper Niven ended up hitting Shayna Baszler with a scoop slam. And then all of a sudden, Nia Jax ended up appearing at ringside. Nia Jax shoved Piper Niven into the ring post, and then she ended up whipping Piper Niven into the ring steps. Nia Jax got into the ring. She ended up hitting Zoey Stark with a Samoan drop, and then she ended up hitting a senton splash to Zoey Stark. Chelsea Green ended up getting up, but Nia Jax ended up throwing Chelsea Green across the ring into the corner. Nia Jax ended up hitting a running hip attack to Chelsea Green. Nia Jax ended up avalanching Baszler, and we had Nia Jax end up crushing Shayna Baszler with the Annihilator, and pretty much that was basically that. Nia Jax then blew kisses to the crowd. She ended up saying that the division is on notice. So that was that. So the match went to a no contest because of Nia Jax. And we got no explanation yet as to why Nia Jax ended up attacking Rhea Ripley last week. So then Adam Pearce was on the phone. Chad Gable came up to Adam Pearce. He ended up asking him how Seth Rollins is. Pearce ended up telling Chad Gable that Rollins will be okay. Chad Gable ended up asking about another Intercontinental Championship match against Gunther. Adam Pearce ended up saying to Chad Gable that it was a career-making performance, but he's got to earn another shot. So Bronson Reed walked up. Bronson Reed ended up saying that Chad Gable has to go to the back of the line. Chad Gable ended up saying that he's made a career suplexing big guys like Bronson Reed. So both Gable and Bronson Reed got into an argument, and Pearce ended up saying that they'll both have a match next. So that was basically that. But Chad Gable will have his rematch against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship soon. And Chad Gable will be the one to take the Intercontinental Championship off of Gunther. Everybody is vying for Chad Gable to be the one to take the title off of Gunther. So then we saw the video of Pat McAfee making a surprise appearance on SmackDown on Friday, and of course the surprise appearance of The Rock, where it was The Rock and Pat McAfee in the ring with Austin Theory. And did not watch SmackDown because, of course, I was in the city on Friday. So, but this return for The Rock drew over 103 million views on social media. So that is absolutely great. So, but really, like that The Rock made his return. But we all know why The Rock, is here, because of course the writer's strike. So, and then of course we saw, that little clip of The Rock and John Cena hugging. Thought that was pretty cool. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Jey Uso. Jey Uso was backstage with Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond ended up asking Jey about the lack of a warm welcome to Raw. Jey ended up saying that him and Drew McIntyre have a history, and he'll show McIntyre what he's about. Damian Priest then walked up. He ended up asking for a moment. Priest ended up saying that he wants Jey in the Judgment Day. He ended up saying that it's not his decision, though. They're family. It's not a dictatorship. Priest ended up saying to Jey that the bloodline and their blood make them relatives. He ended up saying that the Judgment Day is different. So he ended up saying to Jey that they could be the family that Jey has been looking for his whole life. Priest ended up just asking that Jey not make him look bad in front of his family. So Priest ended up saying that they need an answer, that the Judgment Day need an answer from Jey by the end of the night. So Damian Priest walked off, and that was basically that. And then we had Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. This was just a very meh match here. So Chad Gable was accompanied by, of course, Otis and Maxine Dupree. So the match started off with both Gable and Reed end up locking up. Reed ended up quickly taking Gable down a few times. Gable ended up going for a takedown, but Reed ended up powering Gable up. Gable ended up sliding away. He ended up hitting a pair of running forearms that stumbled Reed. Reed ended up dropping Gable on the apron, but Gable ended up knocking Reed back. Gable ended up hitting a missile dropkick, and he set up for a German suplex. Reed ended up fighting out of it, and he elbowed Gable in the face. Reed then avalanched Gable in the corner, and he ended up hitting a snap power slam. Reed then took it to Gable and whipped Gable's sternum first into the corner. So Reed started clubbing Gable's back. Gable then started punching back at Reed, but Reed cut Gable off with a right hand. Gable flipped through a back suplex from Reed. He started striking away at him. Reed ended up pushing Gable into the corner, but Gable ended up booting Reed back. Reed ended up grabbing Gable by the throat, and he pressed him over his head. Reed then ended up throwing Gable into the ring post, and then he knocked him off the apron. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Gable ended up fighting out of a chin lock from Reed. Gable ended up going for a chop block, but Reed didn't go down. It did nothing to him. Gable then ended up charging at Reed, but Reed ended up clotheslining Gable down. Reed ended up going for the cover, to which Gable ended up kicking out. Reed then ended up putting Gable on the top rope, but Gable ended up applying an armbar while hanging over the top rope. Gable then stunned Reed, started punching away at Reed before hitting a somersault kick. Gable ended up going up to the top rope, and he connected with a diving headbutt, and Gable ended up going for the cover, to which Reed ended up kicking out. Gable then ended up setting up to hit the Chaos Theory, but Reed ended up getting out and avalanched Gable down. Reed then ended up going for a senton splash, but Gable got his knees up. Gable ended up going for a German suplex, but his knee ended up giving out. So that led to Reed ended up getting Gable on his back, and he ended up hitting a backpack senton. Reed ended up going up to the top rope. He then hit the tsunami on Gable. So Bronson Reed ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Bronson Reed ended up winning the match. Overall, just a very meh match this was. Then we saw Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa was backstage. Ciampa ended up saying that in life, you have to create your own opportunities. And he ended up saying that Gunther has what he wants. And that he's going to take it. So Ciampa ended up saying that he chose Imperium for this reason. So that was what Ciampa had to say. Ciampa really wants to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship because he ended up saying, Gunther has what he wants. So it looks like they want to put Ciampa in the Intercontinental Championship picture. And then we saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They were talking. Jey Uso ended up walking up. He ended up asking if Kevin Owens has something to say to him. Kevin Owens ended up saying that it's just a matter of time before Jey joins the Judgment Day. Owens ended up saying that he doesn't trust him. Sami Zayn ended up telling both Jey and Kevin Owens to calm down. Owens ended up saying that he won't trust Jey, whether he joins the Judgment Day or not. So Owens walked off. Sami Zayn ended up wishing Jey luck on the decision that he has to make tonight. So that was that. And then we had Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch made her way to the ring. She is the new NXT Women's Champion. She defeated Tiffany Stratton on NXT last Tuesday. So Becky Lynch is a Grand Slam champion. She's a 2-time Raw Women's Champion. She's a 4-time SmackDown Women's Champion. She is a 1-time Women's Tag Team Champion when she won the title with Lita. And she is now the NXT Women's Champion. And the only reason why WWE put the NXT Women's Championship on Becky Lynch is because Becky Lynch, in her time in NXT, she was never an NXT Women's Champion up until now. So that's the only reason why they put the NXT Women's Championship on Becky Lynch, because she did not hold the title when she was in NXT for a time down there. But Becky Lynch got on the mic. She ended up saying that the man has come around to Salt Lake City. She ended up saying that she is now the NXT Women's Champion. She ended up going on to say that that wasn't on her bingo card for this year. But you have to take the opportunities as they come. She ended up saying that she didn't want to just be a Grand Slam champion, even though that's nice. She ended up saying that she also wants to take the NXT Women's Championship to heights it's never seen. She ended up saying that NXT is about the future and represents hopes and dreams. She ended up saying that she wants to face the best of the future. She ended up saying that she'll be on NXT tomorrow night. But tonight is Raw. So Becky Lynch ended up issuing an open challenge for the NXT Women's Championship. So the person who answered Becky Lynch's open challenge for the NXT Women's Championship was Natalya. Why? Why? So Natalya came out. Natalya ended up saying that no one has worked harder for an opportunity than she has. She ended up saying 8 weeks ago, she took Rhea Ripley to her limit. Becky Lynch then ended up saying that she respects Natalya, but she was hoping to face someone new. I thought that too. I thought Becky was going to hope to face someone new. You could have had Cora Jade, you could have had Roxanne Perez. You could have had any woman from NXT come up and face Becky Lynch in an open challenge for the NXT Women's Championship. But instead, we got Natalya. So Natalya ended up saying that Becky Lynch stepped over a bunch of new people looking for an opportunity. She then ended up calling Becky a hypocritical ginger witch. So then she shoved Becky. So Becky ended up accepting the challenge. So the match got underway. Becky Lynch versus Natalya. NXT Women's Championship on the line. Was this really needed? This wasn't needed. Why is the NXT Women's Championship being defended on Monday Night Raw? It should be defended on NXT. And plus, these two are Raw superstars. They're not from NXT. This is an NXT title. It should not be defended on Monday Night Raw. It defeats the point there. So the match got underway. Natalya quickly ended up sending Becky Lynch into the ring post show the first. Becky ended up falling to the outside, just selling the pain from her going into the ring post show the first. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Becky was in control of the match. She connected with a diamond clothesline to Natalya. Becky Lynch ended up avalanching Natalya in the corner before hitting a Beck exploder. And so Becky ended up going for the cover, to which Natalya kicked out. Natalya fought out of a manhandle slam and connected with a German suplex to Becky. Natalya ended up going for the sharpshooter, but Becky countered with an inside cradle, and Natalya ended up kicking out. Becky ended up quickly kneeing Natalya and kicked her in the face. Becky ended up heading to the top rope. Natalya then cut Becky off. Natalya then connected with a superplex, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Becky ended up kicking out. Natalya ended up getting up. She ended up going for the sharpshooter, but Becky Lynch ended up fighting it. She ended up pulling Natalya headfirst to the turnbuckles. Becky ended up going up to the top rope, delivered a missile dropkick to Natalya. Natalya then quickly rolled out of the ring, but Becky ended up delivering a baseball slide to Natalya. Becky got Natalya in the ring. She ended up going up to the top rope. Natalya ended up moving, and she ended up hitting the discus clothesline to Becky. So we had Natalya end up going for the cover. Becky ended up kicking out. So then both started trading roll-ups. Becky ended up coming out on top. So there you go. Becky Lynch ended up winning the match, retaining the NXT Women's Championship. Pointless match this was. Why was this even booked for Monday Night Raw tonight? It should have been saved for NXT. Like I said, it's the NXT Women's Championship, a title that should be defended on NXT and not anywhere else. It defeats the point there. Defeats the point of why the title was being defended on Monday Night Raw tonight instead of NXT. And I question why we are getting Dominik Mysterio versus Dragon Lee for the NXT North American Championship next week on Monday Night Raw. Why? Why? Lazy WWE creative should save it for NXT. You know, why do we get an NXT Women's Championship title match tonight? And why are we getting an NXT North American Championship match next week? Awful. Awful, awful, awful. Then we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was backstage talking with Dragon Lee. Dominik ended up walking in. He ended up saying that he lost to Cody because Mommy wasn't there. Dominik ended up blaming Adam Pearce for Rhea Ripley's injury because Pearce didn't punish Nia Jax. Dominik ended up saying that Dragon Lee's mask reminds him of his deadbeat dad. To which Dragon Lee ended up saying that he'll beat Dominik to win the NXT North American Championship next week on Monday Night Raw. This match does not need to be on Monday Night Raw next week. It needs to be on NXT. Once again, it defeats the point. Then we had Giovanni Vinci versus Tommaso Ciampa. And this was just a quick matchup here. I mean, this is the best that they got for Tommaso Ciampa against Giovanni Vinci. So Vinci was accompanied by Ludwig Kaiser. Match started off with both Vinci and Ciampa end up backing into the ropes. The referee ended up backing Vinci up. Kaiser ended up grabbing Ciampa's leg. Vinci ended up punching Ciampa down. Ciampa fought back with some punches and chops to Vinci. Vinci came back with a back suplex to Ciampa. Ciampa then ended up throwing some punches to Vinci, and he ended up delivering a death press to Vinci. Ciampa then clotheslined Vinci, and he ended up hitting a corner clothesline. Ciampa hit the ropes, but Vinci ended up lifting Ciampa. Ciampa slid off, ended up delivering a neck breaker to Vinci. So Kaiser ended up going for a distraction, but Ciampa ended up fighting it off. Vinci then ended up hitting a springboard to Ciampa, but Ciampa ended up kneeing Vinci out of midair. Ciampa then applied a Sicilian stretch, and there you go. Tommaso Ciampa ended up winning the match. So Kaiser looked at Vinci with disgust on his face by Vinci losing the match. Of course, Gunther was watching the match backstage. So that was that. Overall, just a quick match this was. I mean, this is the best that you got for Tommaso Ciampa. So then, Seth Rollins was walking backstage. Byron Saxton ended up stopping Rollins. Rollins ended up telling Saxton that he'll do anything to get Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring. He ended up saying Nakamura can name the time, place, and stipulation. Rollins ended up saying that their destinies are now intertwined. And pretty much that was what Rollins had to say. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, they announced that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will face the Judgment Day for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship next week. And then we'll see Bronson Reed versus Otis. And then, will Shinsuke Nakamura accept Seth Rollins' challenge? So that's all coming up on Monday Night Raw next week. Main event, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. This was a good match here. This was a good main event here. So both Jey and Drew McIntyre end up approaching each other in the center of the ring. So both Jey and McIntyre end up locking up. McIntyre end up shoving Jey off. So McIntyre end up saying that if that's all Jey's got, this will be quick. So both of them end up locking up again. McIntyre ended up powering Jey into the corner. Jey ducked the right hand from McIntyre, started punching away at McIntyre's midsection. Jey connected with a step-up enziguri. McIntyre then reversed the whip into the corner, and Jey ended up charging at McIntyre, but McIntyre clotheslined Jey down. McIntyre ended up putting Jey in the corner and started chopping away at him. So McIntyre ripped Jey's shirt off, and he ended up chopping Jey's chest. McIntyre ended up stomping Jey down. McIntyre pulled Jey to his feet, but Jey responded with some punches to McIntyre. McIntyre then reversed a whip to the corner and kicked him, and he ended up hitting a snap suplex to Jey. So McIntyre ended up going for the cover, to which Jey ended up kicking out. So we had Jey end up getting McIntyre in the corner, started doing the 10 punches. McIntyre ended up fighting out. He whipped Jey to the corner. McIntyre ended up chopping Jey's chest and sent him into the rope. Jey ended up pulling the ropes. McIntyre ended up charging at Jey, but Jey ended up sending McIntyre over the top rope. And then Jey ended up hitting a suicide dive to McIntyre. Jey got into the ring, ended up hitting a second suicide dive to McIntyre. And then we had the Judgment Day. Baszler, Priest, and Dominik end up making their way to the ring to watch the match. And so Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, McIntyre was in control of the match. He started punching Jey on the top rope. So Jey ended up fighting McIntyre, but he bounced back and ended up hitting a top rope superplex, which looked great. So both Jey and McIntyre were down. So both guys ended up slowly getting back up. They started trading punches. So Jey ended up throwing some punches at McIntyre. McIntyre ended up hitting a Glasgow kiss to Jey. Jey ended up coming back with an enziguri, and then he delivered a Samoan drop to McIntyre. Jey ended up going for the cover, to which McIntyre kicked out. McIntyre then rolled out of the ring to recover. Jey ended up going for a suicide dive, but McIntyre ended up forearming Jey back. McIntyre headed to the top rope. He ended up diving, but Jey moved out of the way. McIntyre then ended up hitting a spine buster, which was followed up by a jackknife pin on Jey, to which Jey kicked out. So McIntyre ended up sending Jey into the corner, but Jey ended up booting McIntyre back. So we had a point where Dominik Mysterio got on the apron to distract the referee. Priest grabbed Drew McIntyre's feet, but McIntyre ended up pulling away. Jey then superkicked McIntyre, and Jey ended up going for the cover, to which McIntyre kicked out. Priest and Baszler ended up telling Jey to do this for the Judgment Day. Priest ended up going on the apron. He ended up talking to Jey. So Jey looked like, all right, he might join the Judgment Day at this point. But Jey swerved everybody. He superkicked Priest, and he superkicked Baszler, and he superkicked Dominik off the apron. Jey then ended up turning around, and McIntyre ended up hitting the Claymore kick to him. So McIntyre ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. So Jey superkicking the Judgment Day is his answer of not joining them. So post-match, the Judgment Day got into the ring. They triple teamed on Jey. McIntyre then watched from the ramp, and he was looking conflicted of maybe him trying to help Jey. McIntyre then turned his back on Jey, which the crowd ended up booing McIntyre on. So McIntyre walked off. He then stopped and thought about helping Jey. So then Cody Rhodes ended up running down, and he made the save for Jey. Cody ended up hitting Dominik with the crossroads. We had the Judgment Day end up retreating. Cody ended up helping Jey up as Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, good main event this was between McIntyre and Jey. But like I said, Monday Night Raw, aside from the wrestling being good, it was just a boring show, for 3 hours. So that's just my opinion. Just the length of the show was just boring. Like I said, even though the wrestling was good. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And there will be no Dynamite review on Wednesday because I will be at Grand Slam there at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So there will be a vlog, of me going to Dynamite on Wednesday for Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe. Second Grand Slam that I'm attending. So it should be a good show on Wednesday. But anyways, till next video, I'll see you all later.